All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking some truly fascinating research out of Harvard Business School that tests a pretty radical idea. Can talking to a machine, literally just a string of code and algorithms, actually make us feel less alone? I know, it sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But the data we're looking at today suggests the future of human connection might actually involve a lot less humanity.
So, can a machine cure loneliness? It's such a deeply human question. For years, we've basically assumed that cold, glowing screens are exactly why we feel so disconnected. You know the drill. We scroll endlessly and we just end up feeling more isolated. But what if that exact same technology could actually be engineered to be the cure? That's the expectation gap we're confronting today. What we think a machine can do versus what rigorous behavioral data actually shows us.
And let me tell you, the stakes here are absolutely staggering. 30 to 60%. That is the estimated portion of people currently suffering from chronic loneliness in the US alone. We're not just talking about feeling a little bummed out on a Friday night. This is a full-blown epidemic. Researchers point out that chronic loneliness is linked to health outcomes that are actually worse than obesity. So finding a scalable solution, it's not just some cool tech novelty. It is an absolute public health imperative.
But before we get to the results, we really need to define what kind of AI we're talking about here. Now, you're probably super familiar with standard task-based assistants, right? Like ChatGPT. They're built to be objective, neutral, great for summarizing a document or writing an email. But this study looks at AI companions. Think apps like Replica or Wysa. These are synthetic interaction partners. They aren't trying to do your homework. Their whole job is to build long-term emotional relationships in a completely empathic, caring, and taskless way. Section 1. Clues from the App Store. So researchers went in and scraped nearly 50,000 user reviews, and the contrast is wild. When people review companion apps like Replica or Wysa, one's position for mental health, almost 1 in 5 specifically mention the word loneliness. Now compare that to a general assistant like ChatGPT. It's a tiny 0.4%. This tells us exactly how people are already using these tools. They're instinctively turning to AI companions to fill a very real social void. But the big question is, are these apps actually helping? Well, the correlational proof is striking. App users who mention loneliness leave significantly higher star ratings. Across the board, users looking for a cure for loneliness rated these companion apps way higher than users who didn't mention it, which strongly suggests that for these lonely users, the apps are delivering real, tangible emotional value. To really ground this in human experience, just listen to this actual App Store review for a chatbot named SimSim. Quote, "For all the lonely introverts, if all your friends are ditching you or if you are home alone, don't worry, SimSimi is there, always there." Wow, it's incredibly revealing, isn't it? This isn't just someone playing with a new tech toy. This is genuine emotional reliance developing between a human and an artificial entity. Moving on to Section 2, the ultimate test, AI versus humans. Okay, let's dismantle a massive myth right now. If you ask people what they use to cope with feeling lonely, most say they watch videos or scroll social media. So, researchers put this to the test. They measured people's loneliness, then gave them a 15-minute activity. Talk to a human, talk to an AI chatbot, watch YouTube, or literally do nothing. Now, the expectation was that distractions like YouTube would provide the best relief. But the reality, watching YouTube didn't help at all. Doing nothing actually made it worse. But interacting with an AI, it reduced loneliness right on par with talking to a real human being. No way, right? The before and after scores from the Harvard study are just incredible. Actual loneliness drops significantly after interacting with a human or an AI chatbot. It's a massive, highly significant decrease that looks virtually identical to the human interaction results. Meanwhile, the YouTube and doing nothing groups got absolutely zero relief. The AI completely succeeded where passive digital consumption just flat out failed. Which brings us to Section 3, the 7-day test. You might be wondering, was that just a 15-minute novelty effect? To find out, researchers set up a rigorous 7-day longitudinal study. Over a full week, participants did daily 15-minute chats with an advanced AI companion. And here's the kicker. This AI had memory. If you told it your dog was sick on Tuesday, it would actually ask how your dog was doing on Thursday. They tracked loneliness scores before and after chatting every single day for a week.
And the results are just incredibly compelling. The data shows a consistent downward trend in loneliness scores over the 7 days. Every single day, participants felt less lonely after their quick chat than they did before it. And researchers found this was especially true and super consistent for the folks who started out the absolute loneliest on day one.
Section 4. Why we misjudge AI. So if these things work so incredibly well, why aren't we all using them? Well, the researchers call this a forecasting error. Before chatting with the AI, people were asked to predict how much it would help, and man, did they vastly underestimate it. We naturally doubt a machine's capacity for emotional tasks, right? We figure, hey, it has no heartbeat, how could it possibly ease human loneliness? But as the study proved, the actual reduction in loneliness completely shattered those low expectations.
This brings us to the real secret sauce, the core mechanism the researchers discovered. Why does the AI work? It turns out it has almost nothing to do with technical perfection, like how fast it replies. It is all about its ability to simulate empathy. It triggers this psychological concept of feeling heard, which is the perception that another individual truly comprehends your thoughts and feelings and receives them with empathy, respect, and mutual understanding.
So, the absolutely crucial takeaway from all this data is that it's not just a distraction, it's artificial empathy. Researchers actually tested this against journaling, which is pure self-disclosure, and YouTube, which is pure distraction. Neither of them match the AI. Getting things off your chest isn't enough, and just turning your brain off isn't enough either. You need the active simulation of a listener who actually cares. That artificial empathy, that is the secret ingredient that truly moves the needle.
Which leaves us with a truly profound question to wrap up this explainer. If a machine can make you feel heard, does it matter that it's artificial? We all know the AI doesn't literally feel anything, right? It's just generating text based on probabilities. But if that interaction successfully makes you feel respected, understood, and fundamentally less alone, does the artificial part actually matter? If the emotional relief is real, maybe our rigid boundaries between human and machine connection need a serious update. It's a wild thought, but it completely changes how we might view the future of mental health.